Hello to all the Prêt-à-Template users. Let's take a look at the new section that we have in the templates. Go to accessories and see up there's a watches section that has so many new template designs that you can use to create your own designs of watches or some beautiful illustrations. And the interesting part is that it has the dials separately, and then it has these straps also separately, so you can combine them in a different way. I'm going to use this template, the center view, to design something and try to couple it with a dial. Obviously there's going to be a digital watch, so it's pretty straightforward. The design part that I was thinking on is the metal strap, and I want to make it titanium color with a satin or matte finish. It's a really durable metal and it's popular with watchmakers because it's really scratch resistant. And here, using the camera tool, I've added some of my references that I want to use, but I want to extract first colors of the titanium, so I guess I'll get rid of the colorful part, because when I do the custom palette it takes a lot of those colors and not enough shades of titanium. So once again I'm going to open the palettes tool and drag and drop the layer on it to get these colors extracted. These are just simple grays, but they have a specific shade that I want to use for the metal strap. And I guess I will begin by outlining the template. I'll pick a smallest size of the pen and the straight line option, because there's a lot of straight lines, so I'll work on these first, and whenever I see the curves I will finish them later and join these lines. I won't change design. In this case I will just follow the template exactly, but you can always take it as your starting point and work from it and develop your own shapes and designs based on the template that looks closest to your idea. That's always nicer than starting from the blank paper that is really intimidating. So you look at the template and you have something to start developing over. It lifts off a lot of pressure during the design process. I took scissors tool and tried to copy it on the other side, but it mirrors only this direction, so what I will do is just pick it with my fingers and kind of rotate it this way. But I understand that the top doesn't match the bottom because the watch isn't around here. If you see the side view, it's kind of like mounted like on a wrist, so I'll just quickly continue with this part as well the same way and then get to coloring. Okay, that's it with outline. So I have a problem here. I happened to do the outline on the same layer with my reference pick. So I'm just going to double this layer, pick an eraser, and on one of the layers I will erase the swatches, and on the next layer I will erase the outline. Now that way I have now two layers, one with my swatch and one with my outline separately. That's it. I will pull it down here, keep my outline on top, add a layer under the outline. I am just merging two outlines together to make it stronger. Adding one more layer and I will start coloring. I'm pulling it under the outline to keep outline always on top and visible. So I will start coloring using a marker tool. It's the last one over here, and I'm finding back my palette. It's saved here with this little camera. Pick a size and I'll just start swatching the color and see really roughly the idea of how it will behave on the surface. One thing I want to notice is that if you're drawing a shiny metal, you will always have a full range of values starting from light white and up to almost black, and that's what I have right now on my custom palette. But if I want to achieve a look of matte or a satin finish, perhaps with some shine, I definitely have to get rid of the darkest values because they just won't be there. It will all look relatively light. Yes, it will have the variety of some values, but most likely it will not have the lightest white and it will not have the darkest black. So I'm going to switch between this 1, 2, 3, 4 middle colors and use the first and the last also with caution. Another point to consider is if you want to add, if you want to create a shiny surface, you would want to see the steps between your values, like the clear edge. But if you want it to look matte or satin finish, you would definitely have to diffuse them. That's why I am using this toggle, just shifting the values slightly to create a really smooth transition. You can always choose another tool. For example, if you choose a watercolor brush, you might be able to do it easier and faster, I guess. I'm just used to using marker. That's a tool that I like to use, but it doesn't mean that it's the only good tool to do this. I would also recommend, as I said, watercolor brush to do it in a little different way. So this is an overall light and shadow of the strap of the bracelet. But now I want to add some shadows and lights to individual links to kind of separate them and make them separate pieces visually. So I'm using the straight line to add these shadows horizontally and make these breaks between each link. So as you see, I've also added some light and darker shadows in between the links to kind of separate them apart. And I will clean everything around with eraser. So now I'll erase everything that's outside of the border using the eraser. And I will add a layer to make some dark accents and shadows. Right over here on top, I'm going to use the ink pen, smallest size. Go back to my custom palette, pick this dark color, and fill in these parts so that the outline doesn't stand out so much. I also want to complete the look of metal with some light accents, so I took a pen of the small size and I just want to add these tiny little highlight details over here on the edges. I feel like maybe I want to make a darker shadow, but in order to not to spoil my previous drawing, I'm always going to use next layer on top, and I took a marker to see what happens if I add some shadows. Will it look a little bit more interesting visually? So I'll just work on this metal, perhaps introducing a slightly lighter value here in the shadow, and blend it with maybe a lighter color. I feel this one makes it look too shiny, so I'm going to keep it lighter. I'm trying to do now horizontal stripes versus vertical, just to make each link a bit more separate. I'm just looking, just experimenting with my drawing and see what works. Now I added a new layer to start working on the colorful parts. I'm gonna take a small size of the pen and opt for a straight line mode to outline it. So I want to make it orange, and to outline it I took that orange, and by using this toggle on top I took the dark value and starting to outline each of the elements that are going to be orange color. I will fill them in with color, and I took yet another layer under the outline so I can see clearly where to stop, and I took the solid tool because I want a nice opaque color, and I'm just filling it in with this vibrant orange color. So while my outline is staying on top, it's very easy for me to not miss and just color it really easy even in the small areas. Now I can add a few highlights and shadows and it's going to look amazing. I'm taking this other orange and playing with the toggle until I get this nice light color. I'll get a pen and a straight line and just add this highlight over here. It's gonna make it sing and look really pretty. As for shadows, I'll use the same technique, but I'll go more red and add a little bit over here in the same way. The reason why I'm taking red is if you take orange and you make a darker version of that orange, is gonna look very dull, kind of brown. But if you take red, the next color to it, and make it darker, first of all, red is darker color, so it's going to look darker without looking very muddy, and it will look more vibrant on the illustration. Still remain to do these buttons over here from the sides, and I'm using exactly the same color and technique as before. So this wraps up the metal part of the watch. I can say that it looks good so far, but I want to work on the face of the watch, this front part or the dial, and I will go to accessories. And as I said before, here you can find these parts separately from the strap, and this is the one I will use. All I'm going to do is simply outline it with a black pen. Now that the face of the watch is ready, I'll combine it with the strap. Just pull the tab from below to open one more app. And here's the rest of the watch. I will select the layer where I want the face of the watch, pick a scissors tool, copy it, tap and hold until I see a scissors. And now I can position it on the watch itself. I'm gonna bring back the template so I can see the exact position, and I will press done. Now I can leave only this project opened, and I have to figure out how to make the surrounding face area and maybe do some colorful light or something like that. I'm just improvising, so pick the new layer, and I will take this solid tool to color it black. But what if I make it more interesting, and I'll actually look for a pattern that I can use for something like watch that would work effectively. And one thing that comes to my mind perhaps is the carbon fiber, because it's used in the watches and it looks really nice. And I found this pattern that I think looks amazing, but this is not the one. So it's the one in the middle. Yeah, this one. Make sure to select the right one, and I will fill in this area of the dial. And now I can use a color underneath this layer, so I will leave the pattern on top and work on one layer under the pattern to add color. And the carbon fiber, it actually comes in many colors. I don't know if I want, I'm gonna try a few options. If I will make it gray, kind of like a black, it's gonna look like this. Maybe a red one could look cool as well. I don't know. No, not loving it. Okay, I'll just try a few more. I guess I'll just stick to gray. I think I want to keep my color scheme simple and make it just dark. So I'm gonna fill in this area You can use solid tool for this. I think I'm using ink tool. If you're using ink tool, try to not pick up the pencil from the screen because it will overlay it semi-transparent. So I guess solid tool actually works better, but for me it's fine. I'm just used to working with different tools in different ways, I guess, so it doesn't really bother me. But if you want to make it easier for yourself, grab a solid tool and fill in this area. I'm using dark gray in order to reveal the pattern, because if I'm gonna use black, it's going to basically make it invisible. So this is the way it looks, and I'm loving the effect. I actually don't want any retouches or anything on top of it, just to keep it as it is. I think it looks amazing. I think I just want to clean this gray part that went out. I think it doesn't really matter, but I'm looking for a layer which has it, so I'm gonna quickly erase that part. And now I'm creating one more layer here under this black carbon fiber drawing, because it will basically help me to conceal the spillover of the color. So I'm working on one layer under, and I'm trying to use this color to kind of make an illusion of light. I want a colorful screen on the watch. And I can see the color did went out because I used I used that ink tool, which I didn't suggest using, but it's okay. I'll fix that later. So the idea is that I want an illusion of light, so I'll pick a lighter color and place it in the center of this screen. And I'm working with the watercolor brush because it's like an airbrush. It allows me to make a really soft transition, and whenever you're drawing light, that's exactly what you need. So I will just layer a few different hues until I feel that it looks good. And I'll fix this color spillover that I had resulting from this colorful light. Just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of the light accent in the center of the screen to really make it look a little more lit rather than just a colorful. I think that works good. If I'm happy and I'm confident about it, I'll just merge it with the one underneath. And it seems like the watch is done. The final thing I usually like to do is to see, is there anything I can do to make it look better? If I will copy the layer of the carbon fiber, it looks kind of dark and nice, and I really can't make up my mind as to what looks better. So I'll just keep that for later, and I think I'll work also on the color of the center light. I also want to make a light on the screen to show that there's some kind of sapphire glass on top. So I'm using a marker and a straight line, and it works really awesome and easy to do this effect. I will just work on a few different ways. I don't know if I want it so bright because it's like it shows as if it has a lot of glare, which is not what I want. So I think I'll try it again with the wider stripe of light. Okay, so happy with the light. It's time to play with the color of this part. I'm going to duplicate the layer, hide one of them, And then go to the spectrum, or you can use your custom palette as well. And think of which color would work. Let's try this neon green. Just drop it there, it's going to recolor it. This looks awesome. It looks like one of those old watches. Just pick any color you like. I don't like this one. And you can pick your own color and experiment and see what works the best. Okay, I think I like this color. So what I'm gonna do is I will make one more copy of orange and make a third option. Okay, I really love this option as well. So here's gonna be my three options: the light blue, this beautiful other blue, and the original orange. I think the illustration is ready. I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I hope you got excited to create your own watch. Please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel to see more tutorials like this.